Hey, so I'm Karen Lindwall-Bourg, and this is Lee Desmond, and we've just finished a book, Cultivating Confidence from the Lord in Life Through Trials and as Entrepreneurs. Um, I'm hoping this is book one in a series of books, and Lee will have her hands on every single one of them, and we'll talk to you about why that is or how that is. But I wanted you to meet Lee. So my husband and I own all sorts of things named RHEMA, meaning the inspired word you receive when you are with the Lord in his word, in prayer, etc. And so there's lots of RHEMAs floating around out there, but the RHEMA that we're working under is RHEMA Publishing House, and actually I sort of house at RHEMA3eservices.com. But also at RHEMApublishinghouse.com. And RHEMA Publishing House is the publishing house that has published this book for me. I'm in it, Lee is in it, and there are a total 9 of us from the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. So that's kind of what we're going to be introducing you to today. The National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs has been around this is our 13th year, and it was established by Diane in 2010. I took over in 2017, and then Heather Rawson, who's also in this book, took over in 2022, so just last year. And it was established really so women who were entrepreneurs could have a safe community to house in and network together, educate together, and serve together as well. It's going strong. There are lots of things going on there, but we chose as our theme for 2022, cultivating confidence from the Lord, to be who he's called you to be and to do what he's called you to do. And that's how the book idea got started in the first place. So we just wanted to talk a little bit about our experiences in the book. We're hoping, of course, that's on sale right now. We're hoping, of course, that our little chat will kind of give you encouragement to go ahead and download the book from Amazon and really enjoy it. And of course, we want to hear what you think. So enough of the business side of everything. I met Lee. We met in college at Baylor. We must have met in a little Bible study or something, because that was a really popular thing for Baylorites to do when they first got to Baylor University. I'm pretty sure that's where it was. I have introduced you, Lee, or talked about you to a bazillion people and said you were like, she was my roommate. And then I've had to think, no, we actually never, ever roomed together. Now we've gone on trips together, but we really actually never roomed together. But it felt like it because we were together from sun up to sundown almost all the time. And I appreciate you and your friendship as much as I do anyone that I lived with in my Baylor years, even lived with for 4 or 5 years in my Baylor years. So that's how we met. Goodness, we never lost touch. Somehow we always kept in touch. Highlights for me are all the girl trips that we've taken. We really need to schedule another one.
Yes, we do.
Another highlight for me is that you and Chuck were working at very pivotal players at Sky Ranch camps, at least in the East Texas Sky Ranch camps. And we took our kids there all the time. So it was a great excuse for us to get together and get our kids together. And then somehow, my whole writing story is totally for another video, but as I began to write and publish, someone said to me, Hannah said to me, you should probably establish your own publishing company. And so I brought you on board, and I remember we were on a walk. We were walking, was it in Colorado?
It's in Colorado.
And I started talking about it, and I remember you thinking, I don't know what you were thinking. You'll have to tell what you were thinking. One thing led to another. And since that time, you've been the managing director of RHEMA Publishing House, so much so, this is like bad for me to tell, but so much so that there have been lots of times that I've said, oh my goodness, if anything happened to Lee, I'm not sure I would even know how to run my own publishing company. So you've been the right arm of the establishment of that, then, and it's kept us working together and visiting together too, which I've loved. But any thoughts about that whole process?
Well, what I remember when you were in Colorado, you said, "Do you want a job?" And I just said, "Doing what?" Because I was in Colorado and you were in Texas, um, and then you told me about the whole publishing thing, and I thought, "Oh my goodness, how much do I have to pray about that before I say yes to that?" Because to
Just
me, that was a no-brainer. Like God just put it in my lap, and something that I love to do because I'm just kind of one of those really irritating natural editors that finds all kinds of weird things in, well published, long published books. And I go, oh my gosh, they missed this or whatever. And not that things don't get missed
Sure.
still, but I just see things that I just think that need to be fixed. So for me, it was like, of course I want a job. Anyway. So yeah, it's continuing to be a good journey.
It's an interesting one, that's for sure. It's one that requires, I think, a lot of, like you said, attention to detail, a lot of patience, because there's a glitch with every technological tool that we use. It seems like there's something going on all the time. So, and I'm grateful, and I've said this to you before, it's not new, that you have the patience to work with that, because I think I would throw my hands up and give up. I would have given up a lot more often than you would have. So, and then I don't even remember why or how I said to you, you should write a chapter in this book. I don't even know how that
I
happened.
remember I was visiting you at the lake house, at your lake house, and you said that something along the lines of you felt like God was really prompting you to talk to me about writing a chapter. And I was like, I don't know about that. So after we talked about it a little bit, because I don't do long things. I don't do long, like I don't know that I'll ever write a full book unless it's a bunch of small chapters,
Sure.
which is why my chapter is the shortest one in the book. Because I'm more of a blogger than I am a book writer. So that's how we got my chapter in there.
Well, it worked out really well. And you wrote about, you call your chapter Walking with God, but when I read it, what I get is, Karen, are you seeing the way that God sees? Because you used all sorts of analogies, about your glasses and our sight and our vision and how God leads us that way. You wrote about that. And it was an inspiration to me. And like you said, it's short and sweet. It's concise. I'm a rambler, so I just posted a meme in our writing group this morning that said, here's how some people tell a story. Here's the beginning of the story, and here's the end of the story. And then here's how we tell a story. We're going back and forth. It should have said, here's how men tell a story, and here's how women tell a story. But and I've appreciated the fact that you've been able to edit things that not everybody would even take up. So, and I love the variety of books that we've published together. I think, we're getting ready to embark on a couple of other new ventures as far as publishing and that sort of thing. So, and our whole team means a lot to me. It takes a village to kind of do what we do. No, I guess one person could do it all, but luckily we don't have to worry about that. Like, I'm not a graphic designer.
Pulling out their hair.
Yeah, praise God for our graphic designers, or everyone who has their hands on making a Kindle book pop up with no errors. And it's a complicated process. Tell me anything you want to tell me about your chapter or anybody else's chapter in the book, or the book in general, what that was like for you.
Well, my chapter, going back to what you were saying about the vision thing, I think that when I wrote that blog, I actually reconstructed that for the book it was an older blog that I did some years ago. Probably was in the middle when I was having some vision problems, truly, and I had to have surgery. And the Lord just really, we'd also moved from Texas to Colorado. And I think, the struggles I had just with that big change, leaving our home and having to really make a new home, which we did. We really did. And it was a wonderful 8 years being there, 8 to 9 years. And so a lot of that was what I wrote, was just really focusing on God speaking to me in my heart to do just that, to make it home, to see what I was doing as something that he was doing. I don't really go into detail about all of that in my chapter, but and how that came about, because I needed to sit and just really focus and listen to what he wanted me to do. And so that's kind of how that chapter, I think that's how that blog came about. I had a little, I don't know if you remember, you probably did, you saw it, a little area in our backyard where I sat and just quiet and just enjoyed the weather, which we did have beautiful weather in Colorado, although some people don't believe that. Where we were, we had beautiful weather. And how much I enjoyed just really spending that quiet, alone time with the Lord. So that's kind of how that whole thing came about.
What are you thinking about when I just say, what about the whole book?
The whole book was really a great project. I really enjoyed and learned. I think I learned quite a bit from everybody's chapter as I was going through it all. Some more than others, because we've talked about, I'm much more of a behind the scenes person than I am out there. And so for me, some of the actions that some of the other writers would take in their business and in their lives would not be for me. But I see those women all the time. So it's good for me to see what they do and who they are. So I guess for the whole book, that's going through it and working through it several times. Helped me get to know some of these ladies that I may never actually meet in person, but I'm really glad I got to in the book.
And some of them were at the conference last year. Yeah. I'm trying to think if actually there are women in the book that I've not met face to face as well, but also, as we would not be surprised by the way the Lord does things, he brought them into my life, in various ways. And like you, I feel like I got something too. Like you, I read the book multiple times before it went to publication. And then like you, I feel like I got something. In fact, I think with every new reading, the Lord kind of tugged at my heart in a different way through the book. Well, I'm hoping, of course, that's why we wrote the book. We're hoping that the Lord uses our words that he inspired us to write in someone else's life, to encourage them, to build their confidence in him, to remind them that he's the source of confidence, that, confidence doesn't come from anyone but him first. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's done really well so far. We're going to promote each author each week. We started this week with our first author, and we have 9 more weeks to go. So that's why one of the reasons we're doing the videos and beautiful posts and things like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, what happens to it next. So where do you tell people what you do, or what you want them to know about what you do, because you do a lot. But tell them what you do and where do you want them to find you?
Well, what I do, it's a hard question because I do a lot of things, but I guess my focus would be just trying to be a good mom to my adult children who still need a lot of advice for different things, and to their children, which I absolutely love, being a grandmother, a nanny. They don't live, any of them, none of them live close to me. They all live all over the world, which is kind of a bummer, but we're in contact all the time. My husband, we retired back to East Texas, which is great. I love taking care of my home. I work part-time in our local library. I work for Karen. I do the book thing. One of the things that when you said something earlier about the reason we write the book is so that other people will hopefully be blessed by the words. As I heard somebody say years ago, a singer, you would know who she is, but a lot of people these days might not, said that she doesn't consider herself a songwriter. She considers herself a song receiver, which I absolutely loved.
I love that.
And I think that I want to, everything I do in my life, with what I do. I also work with CASA, the court-appointed advocate for children. I feel like I'm receiving that from the Lord, that direction, the words that I write, the work that I do is there's a reason behind it. It's not just because I want to stay busy. It's not just because I want to have something to do,
right,
or because somebody asked me to do it. It's because maybe God is directing me to do that for the people out there, for those who need. So that, anyway, that's what we're here for. And that's what the book is about. And that's what our words are from. Our words are from him, not from, if he's given them to us, then it's to share for others.
And I feel that way about every book that's been submitted to RHEMA Publishing House for publication. There was always, isn't there, always a story behind how God called them to focus on that particular book, those particular words. And I love that about our repertoire so far. May it grow, may it double before we're finished, at least double before we're finished. Where do you want people to find you? Facebook? Just email?
I'm on Facebook, but I'm not on there like crazy. I go through it and I try to look at other people's things just to kind of keep up with people more than anything. But I am on there pretty regularly.
They can do manager at RHEMA Publishing, right?
Yes. Manager at RHEMApublishinghouse.com.
Any other place?
Well, I do have a WordPress blog, but honestly, I think it's Lee Desmond, but I can't remember the address.
If you text it to me, I'll add it to the comments under the video.
Okay, I can.
If you want them to go to the blog.
I'll have to look it up because I'm not there off there yet. I haven't been on there in a while. I get on there periodically, but I haven't written anything in a bit, just because life has been busy, and there's a possibility we'll have a child moving here with 4 of her kids soon, and so, which is great. When I shouldn't call her a child, she's an adult woman, obviously. But so life is good. Life is busy. Life is where the Lord is taking us all the time. Building confidence. That's right. Whether we like it or not.
It's true. The school of hard knocks is not always a welcome one, but usually we can testify at the end that God was with us, that he was drawing us closer to him, that he was teaching us new things. And that's, again, the reason why the book was written, just to remind us, there's a purpose for it all.
Yeah.
That's where our confidence will come from, if we'll allow.
And we have to trust that God will, if we're not doing what he wants us to do, he'll pull us away from that, and
redirect.
And redirect us. And that it's exactly right. That's where that confidence comes from, because he's the one that's putting us where he wants us.
Well, send me the link to the blog. Send me the quote from the singer, because I think we can reconstruct that. We're not word writers, really. we're word receivers, and I want to kind of use that
Right,
maybe in a
right.
blog. We may have to write a blog together now that we've written a book together.
Yeah.
I love that. And all I know to do is to just tell you, and I tell you face to face when I can, how much I appreciate your friendship through the years. You've been a very grounded person in my life, kind of kept me focused in many ways. You talked about your house and making a home, and I will say in front of God and everybody here that you really are, you and Chuck both really are some of the most hospitable people. I've always felt totally at home wherever you were at home, because you know how to make a home and you're just very hospitable. I think that must be one of your spiritual gifts. I don't know, but more than most people that I know. So I'll follow you anywhere. I'm looking forward to another girl trip. We really need to plan it or it won't happen. But
Yes, we do. We do.
you might need to go with me. We're going to do writing retreats in the fall in places that have, splashes of fall color. We're thinking Missouri and Virginia, and you might have to go with me on one of those treks.
Oh, that might be a possibility.
Yeah, we'll start planning. God bless you, Lee. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen.
All right. Bye-bye.